here live. I apologize. I'm going to wait a few minutes to get some people into the stream here. My other one wasn't working. I scheduled it, and for some reason, it would not um, allow me to go live. I kept clicking and it just would not let me go live there. So, um, just going to wait a few minutes. People get in. If nobody does come in, then, no big deal. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Just consider this the Mariners post-game video. I'm just going to wait probably 2-3 minutes for some other people to get in here, though, and then we'll dive into the post-game. Hey, Gunny Studios, how's it going? Welcome in. Just giving a few minutes for some people to come in here. Then I'll start recapping the game a little bit. I had to wait a bit. Couldn't get into my other stream. Guess who? Gunny, I'm not sure, actually, to be honest. Oh, Tone, how's it going, brother? How you doing? I like the name. Welcome in to the live stream. Good, good. I will be talking about now. I feel like the pressure is on with you in here. Good to hear it. Love you, man. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Got a couple people in, just waiting another 3, 4, 5 minutes. Awesome, awesome. I know Sam told you about the channel, so I'm glad you got in. Love you too, man. Love you too, brother. Couple people in here, just waiting about 2-3 minutes. Like I said, if just coming in, I'd set up a live stream, but couldn't. For some reason, it wouldn't let me in that one. I don't know why. I set up for a time and I went in there and it just would not let me do it. So waiting on this one, and then we'll get in. I'll give it about 2 minutes into the live stream. I'll give it to about 4 minutes, and then I'll start talking about the game. If I don't get a lot of people in here, no worries. Then just consider this the post-game recap. I'm in the great studio room today. Got 2 people in here. Like I said, just giving it a couple minutes. I'm sure everyone's recovering from a thrilling Mariners game tonight. It's probably like the worst game I can possibly do a post-game for. Is by far the most boring. It is not bourbon. It's actually flavored water. It is. I got to work tomorrow morning, so no bourbon tonight. Saturday might have been a little bourbon. Might have been a little bit. And that would be a huge glass of bourbon right there. This thing is full. I'd be like Dad drinking that thing right there. I wish it was some bourbon, though. I should put a little bit in there. Again, just give it a 3 minutes and I'll start. There we go. Third person in. Welcome in. Got 3 people in here. Just giving it to about 4 minute mark, and I'll start talking about the game about another minute. If you're just coming in, I had the live stream all set and scheduled. For some reason, it wouldn't let me in to the one I had set up, so I had to delete it and just straight up go live. So I apologize to that for anybody. Just give another minute. I will discuss. We will get into the game. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Anything you want to discuss about the Mariners, we can definitely do that. It's probably the one, like I said, the most boring game I can recap. Pretty straightforward one, but give another minute. Give it 1 more minute here, and I will dive into the game. So we'll definitely talk about it. Here, like I said, just give it another minute. Hope everybody is having a good evening that is in here, and a good Monday night, first day of the work week, and got to finish it off with a thrilling Mariners loss today. And give another 30 seconds or so, and we will dive into this game. Maybe I should give it a full 5 minutes. Give it 1 more minute. 1 more minute, then we will start discussing the game. Give it a full 5 minutes for people to come on in here. Appreciate the 3 people that are in here. Thank you very much for joining the first post-game live I've done. I'm going to try to do these about once a week or so, just so we can do kind of some Q&As. And it helps when I have people to talk to, because you guys supply good questions that I don't think to answer sometimes for the games. I'll go on and on about tangents, and I'll totally forget about something else. And we're about 20 seconds away, and we will officially dive into the post-game recap here. Dun, dun, dun. I feel like a countdown going on here. I'm always awkward on the live streams because I never know how to officially kick these off, because I like to give people some time to get in here. If you're in here, give it a thumbs up, by the way, for the 3 people that are in here. If you can hit the like button helps me out a whole lot. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the game today. And again, more people join. Awesome. If not, just consider this the post-game recap. Mariners dropped the game tonight to the Brewers 7-3, fall to 8-9 in the season. I talked about yesterday how the goal was that we wouldn't see this team back under 500 again for the rest of the year. Took them a whole 24 hours to get back under 500. Listen, tonight was a game that I didn't have a lot of expectations for the Mariners going into. Corbin Burnes is a former Cy Young winner, really strong pitcher, solid, and he was good tonight. Mariners caught a little break when it looks like he left with an injury in the sixth inning. Hopefully he's okay. Looked like a chest thing he was talking about, maybe pulled a muscle on a warm-up pitch or something like that. So Mariners did catch a little bit of a break with getting him out in the sixth inning, but it still didn't matter. The damage was done. On the pitching side for the Mariners, thought Chris Flexen did fine. 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. So I didn't think he was bad by any means. If you would have told me that was his line before the game, I would have signed up for that. You'd like to see maybe that at 2 or 3 earned runs, but I'm okay with that outing from Flexen. The bullpen was not very good. Penn Murphy struggled in his 2/3 of an inning, gave up a home run, walked another guy, gave him another hit. Gabe Speier was fine in his 1/3 of an inning. Diego Castillo struggled in the 8th, got out of it without giving him a run, but he continues to struggle this year. 2 walks, no strikeouts, gave another hit. On the season for Castillo, he is, let's see. Yes, Munoz is still out on the IR. He should be back in, they said it was going to be just the 15 days. So I'm hoping he's back. They got this homestand, so they're playing against the Brewers, Cardinals, road trip, and then I think the next homestand would be my hope for when Munoz gets back in. They could definitely use him back in there. Yeah, Castillo has not been good. Only 4 strikeouts in the 6 2/3 innings. McCacken came in the 9th. He just came up a few days ago. He was fine. The run he gave up was on a bad error by Crawford. Other than that, I thought he did okay. That error was bad by JP, but at that point, I don't think it really mattered. I can't get mad at the offense too much here tonight. With Burnes being on the mound, I'm not going to be, like I said, real upset with anything they did. Ty France had a nice game, had that RBI double. Teoscar had a couple of hits. The bottom of the lineup did absolutely nothing. JP did have a walk. Wong was 0 for 3. He continues to struggle. Cooper Hummel was 0 for 3. He didn't do anything. Kelenic 0 for 4. I'm not going to get on Kelenic. He's been great. Cal Raleigh had a nice game as well. 1 for 3, a walk, and homered in the second. Gino had a base hit and he had a really bad base running error. I'll talk about that. And Julio had the home run as well. So some guys were okay offensively, just not enough put together consistently for the Mariners to really get anything going off of Burnes. They definitely had a chance in the 4th inning, I think it was, in the bottom of the 4th. Might have been, I think it was the 4th or the 5th. They had a runner at first and second with 1 out. Teoscar flew out to center, and then with Kelenic up, Gino had the really bad base running. Got another person in here. Welcome in. Gino had the really bad base running error. Honestly, I'm not that upset with the error by Gino on the base paths. Burnes made a real smart heads-up play. He let the pitch clock get down to 1. And at that point, on a 3-2 pitch, Gino's running kind of because in his mind, he's a slower runner. If Kelenic hits one to left, he's got to get down and get there quickly. So, I think he was just trying to get a little lead off second. Burnes did a real nice job of at 1 turning around and picking off Gino. So I think that's just one of those things with the pitch clock that's just going to happen, unfortunately. So, I think it's some base runners are going to have to get used to while they're out there. And, I think it just caught Gino off guard. Frustrating. It was a bad base running error, but nothing that I'm going to be too up in arms about with Gino. I'm trying to think other than that. They didn't really have much opportunity. Well, I shouldn't say that. In the 6th inning, obviously, Ty France doubled home JP after the walk. Gino ended up, but Gino struck out, and then was Cal grounded out. That was probably the last real chance for the Mariners to get back into this game in the bottom of the sixth inning, and just couldn't do it. Again, against a good pitcher in Burns today and a good Brewers bullpen. Seeing the difference here between playing a team like the Rockies and then facing a team like the Brewers. Now, I don't think the Brewers are necessarily great. They weren't a playoff team last year, but they're certainly a step above the Colorado Rockies. So, and when you've got Corbin Burns going on the mound, that makes them even tougher. So, still, I think a good chance for the Mariners to win this series. With Logan going tomorrow, Marco's back on Wednesday. This was definitely a game like that I didn't think they would win. I would have considered this kind of, one of those stolen wins had they found out a way to get this one. Corbin Burns against Flexen was a big mismatch. Um, so yeah, I've gone over the offense, went over the pitching. Again, I thought Flexen was okay. Got hit pretty hard in that second inning. The 3 runs. I'll say it's at 3-0. They did battle. Cal had the home run. And then Ty with the RBI double in the sixth. There were some opportunities in this game. They did. They had their chances to make this a competitive game, but it was going to be an uphill battle. The DH spot continues to be a black spot for the team. Hummel 0 for 3. I mean, this team has to have like 200 OPS out of the DH spot this year. Colton Wong continues to struggle. Again, I can't really get on them too much for having these struggles against Corbin Burns. This isn't the game where I'm going to blast these guys necessarily, because when you're going up against one of the better pitchers in the league, it's just not the time to do it. But the overall numbers continue to be really, really poor for these guys. So they're going to need something from that DH and second base position. They need Dylan Moore back. I mean, that's obvious. They need, just his versatility back is going to help. And I think they need Taylor Trammell back as well. That's a name that I haven't talked about too much. But if you can take out Hummel and you're not taking out Colton Wong, but take out LaStella off the bench and Cooper Hummel, and you're going to get, Hummel's been terrible. I mean, all those guys have really been, the DH spot's just been a black hole. And the fact, like, honestly, I'd rather have Hummel than LaStella at DH, to be honest. Like, he's had some better at bats. But yeah, they need Dylan Moore back. They need Taylor Trammell back. That's going to allow them some versatility. Not that Trammell is going to be the DH, but you could put Trammell in right and Teoscar can DH. Dylan Moore can platoon with Colton Wong. And like I've talked about more countless occasions, he can play every position. So what you can do is Moore can play left field and Kelenic can DH, or Moore can play third base and Gino can DH. They also need Tom Murphy to get going too, because that's going to allow Cal Raleigh to DH, and Cal looks hurt. If you guys were watching his thumb, in the last at bat, he was grimacing, and he's had several pitches this year that have gone off his glove, and he's just thrown the glove off and shaken it and grimaced at it, a bunch. So Cal's definitely playing hurt. Now he's been fine, so it doesn't seem to be affecting him too much, but they could really use Tom Murphy to step up so that Murphy can catch and Cal can DH on some days as well. Got a couple new people in. Welcome. Just going over the game. If you have any questions, shoot them my way. Anything you guys want to talk about in the chat, just throw it at me here. No problem. If you're in here, hit the thumbs up button. I appreciate that. Just kind of talk right now about that DH position and how much they need Dylan Moore and Taylor Trammell back. I think that'll really open up this roster. Hopefully Dylan Moore's back. Scott talked about him going on a rehab assignment here soon, I think this week even. So hopefully he's maybe even back by the next road trip or next homestand. I know Trammell is later April, maybe early to mid-May. We can get him back. Munoz, talked about Munoz. He hopefully will be back in a couple weeks. And then getting Robbie Ray back will be huge. Just another game here. Now, I don't know. I'll probably take Corbin Burns over Robbie Ray, but the injury rearing its head a little bit here as well without Robbie Ray. This is maybe a game where they're a little more competitive with him in there. Again, I don't think Chris Flex was necessarily the problem tonight, but you never know. Robbie Ray is capable of pitching those 6 or 7 shutout innings, and maybe it's a game they have a chance to win. That injury has hurt the Mariners. I think it's at least cost them one game. I think they would have won that Cubs game had Robbie Ray been there. We've talked about that Munoz injury. It has definitely already cost them, I think, at least the game in Cleveland and maybe one in Chicago as well. And I think the Dylan Moore and Taylor Trammell injuries, I don't know if they necessarily cost the team a game per se, but you look at what Hummel and Lustello have done at DH, and they can really use those guys' versatility back in the lineup. So the Mariners dropped to 8-9 on the season. They'll have to work to get back to 500 tomorrow. Um, Going against the Brewers, it will be, what is the pitching matchup tomorrow? Let me pull it up here. I had it. I know Logan goes for the Mariners and Colin Rea goes for the Brewers tomorrow. So definitely a game tomorrow that I do expect the Mariners to be able to win. If you're just coming in here, this was a game that I kind of from the start had as a loss. Never go in thinking that they're just guaranteed to lose, but this is not one that's bothering me really. It stinks that they got back to 500. Now they're back under 500. That kind of sucks. But other than that, the game itself, nothing that really happened tonight really bothered me. I wish I'd keep the stream going longer. There's not a lot to talk about in this game. Unfortunately, it was, like I said, Mariners were just up against a good pitcher tonight. It wasn't a thrilling extra inning loss. This was like you're running. This is the game that, when we get to October, we'll be like, remember that game? No one's going to remember this one. This is that game you completely forgot existed in the calendar. Not really in the minors yet. I mean, you've got some decent starters with Miller and Hancock down there that could be intriguing to come up, especially if that fifth spot continues to be a bit of a black eye for the Mariners. Um, you've got Brian O'Keefe down there who could come up if Tom Murphy continues to struggle as a number two catcher, but I think he'll have a pretty long leash. And I think in terms of bullpen depth, there's really not. Everybody's kind of up. You do have guys like Baroa and Double A and stuff that are, pretty solid arms, but I don't think they're necessarily close to coming up. And I think even these starters, I think we're looking maybe All-Star break would be like the earliest for any of these guys to really make an impact. I think the best thing in the rotation would be getting Robbie Ray back healthy, and hopefully that happens in May. And then Flexen can go back to the bullpen or Marco, whoever is viewed as that fifth starter. And then, Dylan Moore going on a rehab assignment and Taylor Trammell. I think that will be the most important thing for this team to get back into it. And then obviously, there's some good prospects. Harry Ford is it Henry Ford? Can't remember the team's top prospects' names. Is it Henry or Harry Ford? I think it's Henry Ford, isn't it? Anybody can help me out in the chat there, but he's a few years away. So it'd just be the couple pitching prospects really, I think, that would come up and make an impact this year. If nobody else has anything else, I know this was kind of an uneventful live stream. I probably picked the worst game possible to do it at. It was just the only day I could really do it. So if anybody else has anything, I'll give it a couple more minutes here. Trying to think of anything else. Julio's home run was good to see. He's been scuffling a little bit. Didn't have a great series against the Rockies or against the Cubs necessarily. So that was good to see from Julio Rodriguez to get back in the home run column, going the opposite way. Mariners could use Julio heating up a little bit. It kind of went unnoticed against Colorado because they swept them. But they're kind of due for a Julio hot streak. Be really nice to get Julio and Kelenic together swinging the bats. That would be a real nice, that would be real nice to have that going at the same time for the Mariners, who can never seem to get two young guys going at the same time. But good to see Julio, who was a little slumping. I'm not going to say slumping, but a little cold. So good to see that. I'm really not upset with the bats today. There's, again, against Burns, not much you can do without Ty hit the ball hard. Gino had the base hit and he hit the ball hard in the first inning off Burns as well. I actually thought they had some decent at-bats against him before he left the injury. Cal hit the home run and worked a walk off him. Teo had the hit. Kelenic had some good at-bats. That Gino base running blunder, which, again, I'm going to put more as Burns making a real nice heads-up play with letting that pitch clock get down to 1 and then making the throw around to pick off Gino. I thought that was more of a solid play. I guess I'll talk about that a little bit. Saw a few people on Twitter saying to bench Gino after that to send a message. Listen, I'm all for benching a guy if they're hot dogging it out there. They're not hustling. They're not running. Something like that. Then yeah, I think you can bring a guy in and say, listen, if that's the effort you're going to give, then we're going to bench you. If you remember 10 years ago, I think it was for the Rays when BJ Upton didn't run down the double for Tampa, and Evan Longoria called him out on the bench. Something like that. Yeah, that should be called out. I don't. Gino wasn't being lazy. The pitch clock was down to one. It's a full count, so he's off on anything. The second baseman, shortstop, were not holding him on, and his thought process is the pitch clock is down to two. He's going to throw it. I've got to go because I'm not the fastest guy in the world. Because if Jared puts one into left field here, they're going to have a play at the plate. So Gino's just getting a little bit of a head start. Burns made a heads-up play. He took that pitch clock down to one, turned around and picked him off. I think that's just something that, and the Mariners broadcast talking about, they have a play that they've been working on very similar. I think that's going to be a really common pickoff play, especially when there's a full count and two outs. There was a full count and two outs. You're going, you're off. That's what you've been taught to do if you play baseball because there's, no reason not to. It's a full count and there's two outs. So I don't think that was like, you bench guys for lazy play. That wasn't lazy. I think that's just something with the pitch clock now in baseball, you're going to see more of that. There's going to be more. That's going to be a common play with full counts and guys on base is going to be that quick pickoff with like 1 second to go on the clock trying to catch guys leading. So I don't think you need to bench Gino for that. And honestly, if you do, I mean, you're putting in Caballero or La Stella at third base. And there was an at-bat where Gino came up as the tying run in the sixth inning where I think most fans have been pretty mad if Caballero was up in that spot with possibly the game on the line. Now, Gino didn't come through either, but it certainly would have been, a bad sequence if that had not been Gino. It would have been somebody else much lesser up at the plate there trying to come through. See if I have anything else today. Not really. Like we talked about the DH position being a disaster. Colton Wong has been bad, and it's starting to get to a point where like I'm not worried. I mean, right now Colton Wong's hitting 106. Let's take a look at some of the secondary numbers here. OPS is 310, and he is, let's see, it's a slugging and the on base percentage here. On base is 204. Slugging is a solid 106. Listen, like he's not going to be that bad. Eventually he's going to get going, but he's missing some pitches right down the middle. I'll just grab a drink of water. He's chasing pitches out of the zone. He did hit a ball in the second inning, third inning. I don't remember which. Might have been the third. That did get to the warning track. I know I'm scraping for things when I'm talking about a warning track fly ball being encouraging, but it was one that if that was 30 feet to the right, probably is a home run. So that was somewhat encouraging, I guess. Again, I'm looking for anything right now with Wong to be excited about. So, at that point, I'll take it. He's going to be better. Like, he's not going to OPS 310 this year. But the goal was to get a better player than Adam Frazier last year. And Frazier had a down year last year. So it shouldn't have been too hard to make an improvement over that. And right now, like, I'd kind of take Adam Frazier's numbers. So that's where it's concerning there. Getting Dylan Moore back again will help with that because he can platoon with Colton Wong. But again, we're talking about some of the team's issues, and I'm using Dylan Moore as an answer to all these. And Dylan Moore's a nice player, but he's not going to solve every single issue the team has either. Colton Wong's just eventually going to have to hit. I don't think there's anything where you replace him because if you do get Dylan Moore back and you make him the everyday second baseman, you're really taking away that versatility. And you're still putting the DH role in the hands of Hummel and La Stella. You really need more playing around the diamond so that you can get other guys into that DH role for the Mariners. So, they're going to need Colton Wong to heat up, and he will. Like, he'll have a hot streak here somewhere, but when Teoscar Hernandez was struggling, I talked about I wasn't concerned because you could just see where he's hitting the ball hard, and he's got the track record, and Colton Wong has a track record too. But man, he is not looking good. He has made a couple nice defensive plays recently, so that's good. But yeah, they need him to get going. JP's been fine. I've talked about that. The error was bad in the ninth. Thank goodness it was, you know what? Thank goodness that error happened in a game that it was already 6-3. It wasn't going to matter. So just, lucky to get it out of the way, in a game like that. So that's about all I've got. Again, for the 10th time I'm saying this, just not a lot to talk about in this game, unfortunately. It just about as probably, like I said, probably picked the worst game to go live after. It wasn't a dramatic walk-off win or loss. No therapy session needed here. Just a good pitcher came in and shut the Mariners down. If you guys have any questions, fire them. And I'll give another minute here, and then we'll close it up. I guess I will discuss. Saw some people talking about if Diego Castillo would be DFA'd. He hasn't pitched well at all this year. I'm going to pull up his numbers. He's been walking people and not striking people out, which has been really concerning. Let's see if they've got the numbers updated here. There we go. 5 ERA. I'm just looking for strikeouts and walks here. 7 walks to 4 strikeouts on the year for Diego is bad. Last year was like 95 with movement. Now it's 92, and the movement doesn't seem to be there. The command control hasn't been good for Diego. I will say, I wonder if someone mentioned on Twitter, and I wonder if the pitch clock's affecting him a little bit. He's a guy that's very routine. He's got the chain. He does all that stuff before throwing a pitch. So I do wonder if that's affected him a little bit, having to be quicker. The guy, remember the first series I talked about Karinchak from the Guardians being a guy that I thought the pitch clock was going to be trouble for, and he had some struggles against the Mariners. I don't know how he's doing now, but he had some struggles early on. I thought the pitch clock really affected him. It might be doing that to Diego as well. He was definitely a slow the pace kind of guy. My hope is that, remember last year was that series in New York against the Mets when he really came on. He was struggling last year, and then he had that big save where he struck out Pete Alonso against the Mets, and that really catapulted him to have a decent season. He's a streaky reliever, so I'm not on the get rid of him camp. One, what does that solve? And here's the thing, you can DFA Tommy Malone after the game on Friday because he's likely going to pass through waivers. I can promise you Diego probably doesn't get through waivers. He was good last year. He's had a good career. I think someone would pick him up. It's been 6 2/3 innings, so it's not like we're going off 19 innings of work here for a pitcher. If we're talking 20, 25, 30 innings, and this is still this, yeah. But we're talking 6 2/3. You wouldn't judge a starter off of a bad 6 2/3. You shouldn't judge a reliever off of it either. It's not good, and he's already been pushed down the pipe. You've already got Sewald, Brash, Munoz when he's healthy, Topa, Spire are all right now above him in the bullpen. Even probably Penn Murphy too. Right now, outside of McCacken, Diego's probably the last guy that's coming in, in a tight game. So I think you just hope he gets it right and he can become another weapon for you. Unless you just get to the point where it's just so gone. The stuff still looks okay, so I'm not too worried, but again, another outing. Now, he got to have that giving up a run, and that's nice, but another outing where he was not very sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and call it. Thanks everybody that did watch and came in. I do appreciate that. I'm going to try to do these once a week just to have, it's just nice to kind of vent myself live. I think I'm going to do it next time on a game that's a little bit more intense. Might get some more people in here and everything. But thank you to everybody that has watched. I'll be back tomorrow with my post-game recap. And as always, go Mariners, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you all for watching in the comments. Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys later. Good night, brother. Love you too. Have a good one, everybody.